Well, welcome, Tony Lombardi, to the Hiker's Dream Show, and glad to have you here. And maybe you could start with telling us, how you got interested in hiking and who you are, and do you have a trail name, etc., that kind of thing?
Sure. The trail name is Slapshot, and that in itself is a story. I got into hiking after I retired, which I did in January of 2015. I'm also a sailor, and I did quite a bit of sailing in 2015, 16, and 17, but that was kind of getting old. I was doing deliveries down into the Caribbean. And so in 2016, I decided I'd try something new. And I saw the movie. And
Wild.
well, actually, no, this one was by the movie with Robert Redford and Nick Nolte.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, A Walk in the Woods.
Yeah.
Walk in the Woods. And I've seen The Wild too. So yeah, I've seen that one as well. And it brought back memories of when I was working, and I had interviewed a young gentleman for a position I had open, and he went right into everything about through hiking the Appalachian Trail. And after I saw that movie, I remembered that interview with the gentleman, and I said, I need to look into this. Maybe this is something to do besides sailing. And so I started looking. That was February of 2016. And by March of 2016, I started buying equipment. And on April 3rd, 2016, I stepped off on the trail, the Appalachian Trail. And the way I got my trail name, Slapshot, is a fellow who had more experience than I agreed to take me along with him on the Appalachian Trail. And I was ahead of him. And one of the things I got into with my trekking pole is hitting rocks and sticks out of the path with the trekking pole. And the hiking buddy, he said, "Hey, that was a pretty good slap shot." And then he waited a minute and he said, "That's a pretty good trail name. Your trail name is now Slapshot." and that's how I got it.
Well, let me just interrupt you, because your story is similar to mine. I wouldn't interrupt you, but it's very similar to my story, where I retired. I had a window now of opportunity to hike the Pacific Crest Trail, in my case, with my son in 2014. I had a little money saved up, and so I went for it. It was great. And I met, my son only went to he did most of the California, and then he had to go back home. But then I met up with another fellow from Sisters, Oregon, and I hiked the rest of the way with him. And his name was now was it? Now, geez, I'm getting a block here. But with the hiking poles, geez, it'll come to me. But it reminds me of your Slapshot. The hiking poles were, geez, I'm really getting a block here. I'm getting
trekking poles, right?
Yeah, he had trekking poles, but he'd push off of them, and Jesus. But it was a similar story where he got his name from the way he handled his trekking poles. I'll think of it later on, but
like a skier skiing on snow, pushing off.
Yeah, I'll think of it. But go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but go ahead. So you hiked the whole thing, the whole AT?
No. I'm a lasher. I just I do long section hikes, and yeah, the first year, 2016, I did 532 miles. The next year, I did 715, and
it's a chunk.
Yeah, and the next year I did 695. I just kept going on like that.
Okay.
And I've also not only done the Appalachian Trail, but I did through hike the Colorado Trail, which was really a nice trail. And last fall, I through hiked the Arizona Trail.
Oh, yeah, that's where I met you here on that Facebook group.
Yeah.
I like to do it in October here with my son southbound if things go right. Yeah. So that's good. Maybe you can tell me about that. You just
Okay.
recently did it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I said, I finished. I finished at the end of November. I'm a slow hiker, and I like to go into the towns and relax and just check out the towns because I'll never get to those places again in my lifetime. So I started. I think it was September 28th. I'd have to look at my blog to be 100% sure. I started September 28th, and I think I finished November 27th or 28th. And I started at the northern terminus, of course.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and it was really nice on the northern part of the trail. You get on that plateau, and then you get to the Grand Canyon. A lot of hikers, I think they fear the Grand Canyon, but I thought the Grand Canyon was just outstanding. I mean, I went down, I think it's about somewhere around I think it's 5,000 feet going down from the North Rim. And then I stayed at Bright Angel Campground one night, and then I went up to the South Rim the next day. So it was really great.
How did you get to the northern terminus? I'm just curious about the logistics. How did you get there?
Okay. Well, I flew into Phoenix, and there's an airline in Phoenix, and it's a jet airline called, I think it's Concorde or Concourse. I think it's Concourse. And that airline goes to Page, Arizona. And so I flew into Page, got a night at a hotel, and there's a trail angel up there coming out of Sedona. And I'm sorry, I forget her name for right now, but she picked me up at the hotel and drove me to the northern terminus, and that's where I kicked off from.
Great, it worked out. Good.
Yeah.
Good. I remember my hiker's name. His handbrake, because his poles were from the back. He looked like he was putting on a handbrake.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. Slapshot. Okay.
The best trail names are those that somebody else gives you.
I got mine about 400 miles into the Pacific Crest Trail after I'd fallen many times. This one hiker had seen me fall, and this time I fell again, this time it wasn't on my face this time, but I did cause a landslide of rocks and things like that. So, as I slipped down the hill. Yeah. So that's how I got my name, Landslide. Yeah. Okay. So you're okay. How old are you? I'm just curious.
I'm about 3 weeks shy of my 73rd birthday.
Oh wow, that's okay. I'm 72, so we're in the same ballpark there.
Yeah.
And it's a good time to start hiking. Why not?
Yeah. Unless I get hurt, I don't have any problems on the trail. I can do, once I get going, I can do a 20-mile day. I've done, I think, somewhere between 20 and 24 miles, but not much more than that. I like to average somewhere around 15 to 20 miles.
It's comfortable. No hurry.
Yeah.
Speaking of injuries, did you find yourself challenged in that way at all physically?
Well, yeah. As a matter of fact, some sad news for me at least. I started the Pacific Crest Trail at the end of April.
That's where I saw you. Yeah, too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was doing great, and I was only about 40 miles into it, and I was going up an incline, and there were rock steps, and I caught my left foot under one of those rock steps, and so I went down and twisted my ankle, and I've had a sprained ankle on the Appalachian Trail, and I just kept going. So I did. Of course, you're in the middle of nowhere on the Pacific Crest Trail, so you're not going to call Uber and have them pick you up. Mm-hmm. And so I kept going, and then 5 minutes later, I did it again. And, unfortunately, that just screwed up my ankle a little bit more. But I kept going. I did 16 miles that day. And I was with a trail family, a tramily, and we stopped at a campsite. And the next morning, I was up and at 'em again, and we were going to go 20 miles. And the target was to do those 20 miles and then be 10 miles away from Julian. And there's a campground about 4 miles from where we camped that night. And I got to the campground. I was hiking by myself, had breakfast, got some water, and took off. And I'm perfectly flat ground, no rocks, nothing. And I heard a loud pop.
Mm.
You know what that is?
Ligaments.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I was about 4 days and 50 miles in, and that was the end of that. Now, matter of fact, since we're talking about it, I got an MRI scheduled this Friday. I'm going to have the doctors take a look at it, and I'm hoping if it gets better, and I'm still hobbling around a little bit, I'm hoping if it gets better, I can go back to the trail, pick up at Kennedy Meadows, and go as far as the weather will allow me. I was hoping to do 1,000 miles or more. I'm hoping I can still do somewhere between 600 and 1,000 miles.
Excellent. Ligaments are tough. Yeah, those things are take a while. Let's see what happens. What kind of treatment are you getting or doing for yourself for that? I'm just curious.
Well, when I got home, I just kind of chilled out, didn't do much of anything. After a couple of weeks, I was feeling better, so I started hiking. And I say hiking in Florida, it's you're walking on flat ground. But I was doing some of that. I was doing 3 miles a day, and I kicked that up to about 5 to 7 miles. And I was okay. And there's a forest preserve close by my house. So I threw everything in my pack, about 30 pounds, and went out to that. And it's about 7 miles. I tried to do it fast. I did it in about 2 hours and 20 minutes. And I said, hey, feel good. I'm going back. Made plane reservations. And the next day, my ankle was hurting. The day after that, it was hurting even more. Canceled the plane reservations, and that was the end of that. And since then, to specifically answer your question, I've been taking it easy. I'm waiting to see what this MRI comes up with.
Good. And you started when? Recently, right?
On the PCT?
PCT, yeah.
I kicked off, I think it was April 29th.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's when I started, April 24th in 2014. I had a scary moment too, where I was climbed Mount Whitney, and I came down, and well, this has been going on for a while, but it was hard to pee. My prostate was swollen, and from Whitney, I really was dehydrated, and I found out I had a urinary tract infection, and I came into Bishop in the Eastern Sierras at a town stop, and I couldn't pee at all. Nothing came out.
Wow.
I thought my hike was over, and I went to the emergency and had to get a bag, and a catheter, wore that for a couple of days, and took it off, and fortunately it was okay. It was kind of scary because, it's like, it's very uncomfortable when the bladder's full and you can't pee. So I worked it out, finished the trail finally. And that was the only major issue I had. Yeah.
Were you not drinking enough water, or?
That's right. In the cold weather, you don't seem to, think you need the water, but I wasn't drinking nearly enough. And I had this situation kind of ongoing as I was doing the hike. I wasn't drinking enough, and then it caught up to me at Mount Whitney, and the altitude and something just like inflammation down there did me in. But fortunately, it worked out.
Yeah, I'm at times guilty of that. I practice water conservation probably a little bit more than I should, but to date I haven't had any problems.
Good, good. Okay, so you're doing all this hiking here. Uh, have you tallied up how many miles you've done?
Um, it's been over 3,000. Let me see. 2,000, 2,800, 3,300, probably about 3,500. Not a lot. Not a lot. I wish I'd started earlier in my life, but
That's where I want to get my kids involved more. You know, take them out, even though they're older. It's still good for everybody to see, to see what it's like out there surviving away from civilization. And that's the next question is like, what have you become more aware of since you've been hiking in terms of just life in general?
it's the Appalachian Trail was a real eye opener. The beauty of the forest, the quiet. I've gained. I've always been somewhat of an environmentalist, although not a rabid environmentalist. Now I would consider myself to be a rabid environmentalist. You know, driving my car yesterday, the car ahead of me threw out a cup with water in it onto the street, and I just went ballistic. You know, I would have, if I could have caught the car, I would have had a word with them. And I don't think in years prior I would have given a second thought. The beauty of the Appalachian Trail, of the Colorado Trail, and the Arizona Trail, and what I've seen of the Pacific Crest Trail, they're ours to have and behold, and to not sully. And because of that philosophy that I have now, that I had a little bit, but not to the degree I have now, it's just gripping, you know. And the other thing that I really enjoyed is the solitude. The Appalachian Trail, not so much as the Colorado Trail and the Arizona Trail. There is a thing about the camaraderie that you get on the trails, but there's also something about the solitude. And I love the camaraderie. And of course, you hike the PCT, which is like, from what I could see of the little distance that I did hike, it's like the Appalachian Trail. You have people that you're hiking with, that you camp with. You get this camaraderie. These people are out there the same as you, and they feed off of each other. If you feel like you want to quit for some reason, you know, there's somebody out there that's going to, you know, give you that boost that you need to get by on a bad day and keep going. And that is another thing that I really liked about the trail.
Yeah, it kind of, the Pacific Crest Trail, kind of, the herd spread out after a while. I mean, you started in the beginning there, maybe with some people, but it thins out, you know, as people fall out and such. But it's so. What about the camaraderie? Did you have any stories about people, some of the characters you met there? Sure, you do.
Yeah. Well, you haven't hiked the Appalachian Trail, I take it, right?
No, I've followed people on it, but no, I haven't.
Yeah. No. Well, the Appalachian Trail is about shelters, and you know, the experienced hikers will tell you, I don't want to have anything to do with a shelter. But shelters are nice, especially on the Appalachian Trail, because it can be wet. I mean, there's rain on the Appalachian Trail, and when you get into these shelters, you get a lot of characters. You get, I remember one where we were packed like sardines. You know, it's a 6-person shelter, and I think we had like 9 people in the shelter. So you can't stretch out your arm or anything. You got to keep in tight, and you got your snorers, and you have your loud sleeping pads, and it gets to be an interesting evening with the other hikers. You know, but all in all, it's good. I really enjoyed it. You meet some real characters. You know, I've got when I was in the great Smoky Mountains. If you were to look at my blog and find one of the posts on there, there's a couple of guys that climbed onto the roof of a shelter, and they went down the chimney. Now, in itself, going down the chimney of a shelter is kind of crazy. Going down the chimney of a house is kind of crazy, but this guy did it, and he should have checked the fireplace, because there was a group there the night before, and they had built a fire in the fireplace, and the fire embers were still there. And he got down, and man, he came running out there, and his feet were smoking. He was full of soot. It was funny. It was really funny.
I remember the Kennedy Meadows North. That's the end of the Sierras, where I met this gal who had just broken up with her boyfriend. They had hiked the AT, and they were doing the PCT, and they just had a fight and broken up. She was very distraught, so she, wanted someone to hike with. So, yeah, it took a risk and started hiking with her. And boy, this gal could talk. I mean, she could just talk. It was just like there's no pauses. Just the whole. My hike was ruined, basically. Do I have to hike with this girl? How long do I have to hike with her? And then like 10 miles into it, we met these people, these hikers, and I had lost touch with my son at that time, and they'd said, well, yeah, we talked, and they said, oh, you're his father. He's down there in Bridgeport. He's like living out of food kitchen, food pantries. He doesn't have any money. He's like kind of, he's distraught too. So give me excuse to get away from this gal. So I got to go save my son. So that was cool, So I went back to Bridgeport, got a 30-mile hitch from the same guy who had picked him up and who he was living at this guy's house. And I get back with this guy into the house. It's a big barn, and he's like laying on a big bed, eating sandwiches and watching TV. He's just fine, he's not at all bad. So yeah, the people you meet, great.
I think I met that woman that you hiked with.
I think so, yeah. Can't remember her name. And she was fast. She was a pretty fast hiker, and she was just talk, and she couldn't stop. I don't know what it is. But yeah, you enjoy the silence on the hikes sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, I've had that situation a couple different times from a woman and also from a fellow male hiker. It doesn't bother me as long as they don't turn around and say, are you listening to me? Because you haven't said a word. As long as I don't say that, I'm good.
Well, you kind of run, I mean, after so many miles, you kind of run out of, you'd think you'd run out of things to say, and you just silent for a while, but not her. Yeah, not some people. So,
well, I've got another hiker's life story once when I was hiking with him. I mean, he let everything come out. I don't know if he'd ever told anybody some of the stuff he told me, really? which is part of what, in my opinion, the trail is. You meet these people, you're traveling with them day and night. It's it's a catharsis of sorts, and people think they treat you like they've known you your entire life. And that, to me, at least on the Appalachian Trail, and even the short time I was on the Pacific Crest Trail, is what it's all about. I think it's about people, not necessarily how fast and how far you can hike. And that's what I got out of it. I enjoyed the Appalachian Trail and the Pacific Trail immensely. I enjoyed the Arizona Trail and the Colorado Trail too, but you don't get that companionship, that camaraderie that you get on the other two trails.
I think it could be a template for our civilization here. Yeah, how the way people support each other and they care for each other, you know, and it doesn't matter who you are, how much money you have, or what you did. You're all equal in a way, you know.
Exactly, exactly. That's it, exactly.
You're out there basically just you're surviving. It's about survival. Eat, sleep, and walk, and next water stop, next town stop where you can gorge yourself, you know, and relax and take a shower. But a very simple lifestyle, you know. We've gone to a very complex society here, technologically and otherwise, and people are stressed out and confused. And this is again template to way like people used to live, indigenous people, and how life was just you just live, you know, and you'd be fine. You'd be fine.
Yeah, you know, and that's another thing. That's an excellent point, because when you're living like that, you realize, and of course I say this with a certain acknowledgement that most hikers today have high-tech gear, but still you're out there living in the woods on your own, and you know, you're completely reliant on yourself. If something happens, you're the one that has to get yourself out of it. And you know, I agree with what you said 100%.
Grandma Gatewood, PF flyers in a duffel bag, right? That was her high-tech gear there in the old days. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, pair of kids.
Yeah. I mean, and it did. The trail afterwards, that immersion into 5 months of wilderness. Yeah, I came back with a depreciation of nature and how life could be on this planet. And I joined a nonprofit environmental group, and I'm with them now, trying to save the world, you could say, or trying to get agreement from people to wake up to see what's really happening with the planet. We're not doing well here, so we could do a lot better. So the trail helped me to see, you know, different viewpoints on that. Again, it's like comparisons. It's a comparison. You get so involved in the just go to work, you know, 9 to 5, you do your family thing, have a few thrills, and you get routined into this certain lifestyle that it kind of breaks you free going hiking of that, and then you see a lot more what could be possibilities of how to live, you know. And these hikers like you and me and others are, you know, we see that, and there's potential there. That's why I'm doing this, interviewing people and seeing that there's potential to do otherwise, you know, it's just about agreement, not about revolting or rebellion, and just agree, make better decisions. Very simple, you know. So I'm down here in Mexico right now, Baja. There's less restrictions down here, and we can do more. We're waiting for funding, and we could do more down here than we can in the U.S. because of all the legalities and things like that. So, what else would you like to talk about here? We have about maybe 5 minutes. Maybe I should leave, but what else would you like to finish with?
Well, you know, I'd like to talk about the Pacific Crest Trail and what's going on right now. Not that I know from firsthand experience, but I follow Reddit and several Facebook groups. And if anybody who listens to this is thinking about hitting the Pacific Crest Trail right now, or even in the future, there's a real mess going on in Oregon and Washington. And yeah, there's a lot of snow still up there. From what I read yesterday, Hart's Pass, which is at the north end of the trail, is still closed. I saw about a week or so ago, I saw a picture somebody posted on Facebook that showed the snow. It showed a sign, which you know is about 6 feet high, and it showed the snow all the way up to the top of that sign.
Wow.
So, you know, hikers, be careful. I read about another group of hikers, some very experienced guys that had gone up to the northern terminus. They took the low route and then started hiking south, and they got off. It was too dangerous, and that seems to be what's happening right now. A lot of hikers are trying to get on, and you don't have a picture of the trail. You can't see the trail because of the snow, so they're just kind of cutting across or going up, and they have these really steep slopes filled with ice and snow, and it's really dangerous. So people are getting on, and then they're getting off right away. So if there's anybody listening to this and they're thinking about going out there in the next week or so, which is the traditional starting point for the Pacific Trail, going southbound, it's still a mess. And if you haven't checked out some of the groups or the weather or looked at some of the resources on the internet to see what the snow is like, boy, do it, because you may be surprised. Both Oregon and Washington there's still a lot of snow out there.
Yeah, my first interview was in Mango. He's going to be starting southbound July 14th. At least that was his plan. So we'll see.
Most of those southbounders are now flip-flopping. They're going down south, even further south than Oregon, because of so much snow in Oregon. They're going south, and then they're going to go north and then go back and head south afterwards. That's what's happening.
What are your resources? Who do you follow? Where are your information resources?
Well, again, it's Facebook. There's a fellow by the name of Ned Tibbetts. He does a lot of posting on Facebook. He has his own website, and he's a search and rescue guy, but he's also has a school where he teaches snow travel, and he does a lot of postings. And of course, as I said before, Facebook has a lot of good information. There's trail angels that get out there. They shoot pictures of the snow. They give reports to the hikers. And it's a lot of good information. A lot of people are basing what they're going to do on a southbound from what they've seen and heard.
Yeah, I interviewed him just a few days ago. So he's a very good resource. And I'm trying to set up my YouTube channel. So I'll send you that link, or I'll send you the links to the past interviews, and you can check that out. And
great.
Let's keep in touch, because this is exciting. Part of life is just adventure. It's you can live life, but it's adventure that gets you become more aware and more fulfilled by the adventure that you live, and taking the risks and all that. So this is great. I really look forward to, I hope you get back on this year, Yeah.
So do I.
Yeah.
And by the way, I might make a shameless plug. Adventure is what my website says. It's Tony'sAdventure.com.
Tony, you're wonderful. Thank you for being on.
Okay.
Wish you the best. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Right. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, this is Tony's Slapshot Lombardi. Well, here I am at the top of the world, or at least like it seems it that way. And look around here. I never thought of Arizona as having as many mountains as they do. I mean, everywhere I look, you see peaks. Where's the flat part? Haven't come to it yet. Well, that's not true. I was on a rim after the Grand Canyon, and that was fairly flat. There was a little up and down, but that was easy hiking. This is not easy hiking.
Are we trying to get out of here by a certain time?
8. What time is it now?
7:30.
Stuff boils quick. Water. Especially when you're doing half cup.
Hey, you know, you're supposed to be scared of us.
That's a big one.
Whose stomach just growled over here?
Mine.
So when that happened,
They usually deliver in May, right?
Really?
Is what?
They usually deliver in May. So it could be.
You got a kind of a bulging stomach there. I mean, the rest of him looks really scruffy. Or her.
Feed her out of your hand.
Beat no, not really. He's got a stuff.
Beat the wild thing. Can we go right where we're going?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and if we scare him, he's gonna run right back down that way.
We don't really go that way. Sit right there.
Right there.
Oh,
We could give him a shit. That's a big one. He's probably like 200 pounds.
No.
It's like maybe they won't see me.
No. What are you doing? Same damn thing you did with this.
Hey, well, here I am, still hiking, and it's been a pretty easy morning. I wasn't going to shoot any videos, but some cows just passed on the trail. So they're moving to my left. I'm going to see if I can get them on camera for you. I have no idea where they came from. There's no houses or ranches that I know of in the area. I guess that's what you'd call a free-range cow. So just bear with me a moment. They're right up here. Or maybe they're not. Oh, there they are. There they are. Now, let me get a better vantage point before I switch to the front view lens. I don't think you can see them with this one. Yeah, I'm going to go with front view. There they are. I zoom in. Have I no idea where they came from.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free.